Hi, the date is the 24th of August, 2026, and I learned something about repetition the other day and turning habits into who you are and doing things over and over and over again, which it's not really fun. It sounds kind of heroic to imagine Sisyphus happy pushing the boulder up the mountain every day, but what they don't really talk about is that Sisyphus is alone. It's him, his mind, and a task. And it's nice to think that doing a task over and over again is easy and that we don't have to think about it. We can just do it. But our minds usually want to think and they want to process new stuff and have new feelings and all of these things, whereas doing something over and over again just doesn't give that to your mind. So I want to add on to building who you are and through your habits and what you do every day till it becomes part of who you are. And I want to, because you can start doing this, and then it's nice for a while until you hit a point where you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't heroic. This isn't fun. This isn't interesting. I can't tell people about this. People don't look at me and say, hey, good job. You're getting sleep every night. Or you're going to the gym every day. Good job. I mean, that's not the best example because sometimes you get some good recognition for going to the gym. But the basics like sleeping and reading books, which can end up being really difficult when you just keep doing them over and over again, you don't really get recognition for that. And it gets to the point where you're doing things over and over again, and so the little time you spend not doing them, it makes it a lot less enjoyable because you can sometimes feel like you want to be doing something and you want to be productive. And at the same time, when you're doing stuff, you're not doing stuff for you. You're not doing stuff to be a certain way. You're doing stuff for a goal that you can't even see. You're working on the fundamentals. You're working on the simple stuff that you have to get down. That's so far from your goal of becoming someone you can accept. And when you're in that stage, you can't even picture that. And so what I want to talk about is a state of being, because we are delusional creatures. We won't understand the mathematics of the universe and will experience everything through our perception. So no matter what, we're going to be delusional, and it's up to us to choose our delusion. And what I've learned is it's much better to choose a delusion of positive enjoyment and a state of being someone than choosing a delusion of I'm going to get somewhere someday and then I'll be able to accept myself. Because what you got to realize is you simply doing the act of building the fundamentals and making the choice to build, I guess, a new version of yourself or just build yourself. Just by doing that, you are being that person that you want to be. And if you imagine that there's an end point and a finish line where you'll be able to accept yourself and like yourself, you will always be chasing that end point. And not only will you always be chasing it and you'll be unhappy when you're building yourself, you'll never reach there. And so it is just constant suffering. And I know this is obviously a lot of talk, and I also wanted to talk about implementation because of actual actions you can take that will remind you of this, remind you that you are still a person, and even though you're not your ideal version of yourself, you are still, just by having a intention and taking action towards that intention, you are being a different person, and you are a different person. So a few real life implications you can take is go out and switch up your habits. So going to the gym, of course, walking into the gym and doing 5 pull-ups every day will build my repetition, and it will make it a much stronger habit that I don't even have to think about doing, but it will also take a lot of the enjoyment out of it. So I've got a gym membership yesterday, and I've gone to the gym previously, but an actual implication that I'm taking is I'm going to actually switch up my workouts, try different things, try new things, and go into the gym with a good attitude and a good mood, listening to music I like, and make it an enjoyable experience where it's something kind of different every day, where I can actively track my progress so I don't feel like I'm pushing a boulder up a hill. And also with reading. I'm not just going to read the same self-help books that, I want to build a new philosophy and a new attitude and a new kind of mindset. So the self-help books are good, but I don't want to read them, first of all, from a perspective that I'm less than other people, because I think that thinking you're too good for a self-help book can put you in a position where you really need one. And you don't have to stop reading the self-help books. You can just switch it up a little bit. Switch between different books to keep it interesting, because it got to the point where I was just reading the words. I wasn't actually, like, there's times when I'll imagine what it's saying and like, wow, this is a really good point, and think about how I can implement it into my life. And then other times I'll just be reading the words for the sake of pushing the boulder up the hill, where it's not about getting to the top of the hill and finishing the book. It's about actually pushing the boulder up the hill. I keep using Sisyphus as an example. I don't really know too much of it, so it might not sound right, but yeah. Then the other thing, sleep. It's not fun, but like changing up your routine before you go to bed, like maybe having a different type of tea, or doing a different like little bedtime routine to prepare you for bed, or exercise, climbing up a different mountain. And especially something that I want to implement into these videos a bit more is environment, because I was doing the same thing, going to the same place, climbing out to the same coastline, in the same place for the videos, and now I've decided to climb up the mountains in a tracksuit, which is very cold and very windy. I really hope that this fluffy thing on the mic is doing something, but like, switch it up. You have to keep the habit, you have to keep the repetition, but it can be something you enjoy. And with the acknowledgement from other people, of course, you kind of have to make it something you enjoy, because you're not going to get the acknowledgement from anyone. And you shouldn't you shouldn't be doing this for anyone else. You should be doing this for you. And so why not enjoy it for you while you're doing it? And obviously this is easy to say, and when you're actually doing something that you have to use a little bit of willpower, and no one's looking. Like, it's easy to make a YouTube video because I know people will see this. So this is kind of I know it sounds a bit strange, but it's like a main character trait, or not a main character action. This does feel like kind of that. But when you're sitting in bed or lying in bed waiting to go to sleep, no one's watching, and you have to actually have willpower to not go on your phone, it's not a very main character moment. It's not very interesting, and you're not going to go to work and tell people that. Say, hey, guess what? I stayed off my phone last night. Or, it's not something you can get recognition for. So not only do you have to recognize yourself for it, let me turn this way a little bit so the wind doesn't blow the mic. It's not something you only have to recognize yourself for, it's something that you have to teach yourself to enjoy doing, because then it just becomes miserable. You know, you kind of have to imagine Sisyphus happy, rolling the boulder up the hill every day. And yeah, so that's kind of the update I wanted to give for this video. I'm up in the mountains today. It's really, really beautiful. Very cold, but yeah. Thanks for watching. That's about it.